Okay, Scream 2022, you've got my attention. Alright, you guys, we're here to talk about Scream, the newest one, Scream 5, Scream 2022, whatever you want to call it, Scream, the newest addition to the franchise. So let's hop on into it. If you are new to my channel, hi, I'm Erin, and I like to talk all things movies, makeup, and books. If you're returning, thanks for coming back to the channel. Both groups, new and returning, don't forget to subscribe down below. I know many of the people that are regular viewers or have been on my channel before are not subscribed. Think about subscribing because we have a lot going on here, a lot of good content, as well as if you are new here, definitely check out some other videos here on my channel. You might find something that you really enjoy. But if you're here for the horror movie talk, I do several horror movie videos a month, and this time we're talking about a new movie that I've been anticipating. It was one of my most anticipated movies of the year, which I did a whole video on all the movies I'm anticipating this year. Check that video out. I will try to link it in the eye or in the description box. But Scream 2022 was definitely one I was anticipating. I even got it has other, people on it, but my Ghostface picture here on my shirt because I'm super excited about this one. And being someone that grew up with the Scream franchise, it was never like my all-time favorite, but it was definitely one I loved growing up and definitely enjoyed with my family. So let's hop into my thoughts on the newest addition to the franchise, what I think about it, if it's worth checking out even or spending your money at the theaters. Let's hop into all the details. All right, first off, a little background. I do really enjoy the Scream franchise. I think it's one of the more solid slasher franchises, definitely with the majority of the movies being very good, actually. And I don't think any of the movies, even the ones that are considered a little bit less successful or not as good quality, all of them are pretty good compared to some franchises that have some really bad installments. Scream is pretty solid, and overall I really enjoy this franchise. Growing up, this was one that actually kind of scared me a bit, so I didn't love it as much. I guess that's the whole purpose of a scary movie, obviously, and I've always watched scary movies, but I guess as a younger kid it was one that kind of creeped me out and I didn't enjoy it as much. But as an adult now, as I'm, of course, the nostalgia of it, and also just seeing kind of the mindset behind it and sort of the thought process, as well as going into the movies, their meta conversations they have in each movie, I've grown to love them even more. And so this is one of my most anticipated movies for the year. I'm so excited I was able to see it. So in preparation for this, I didn't watch any reviews because some of my favorite movie reviewers or horror movie commentary channels or review channels here on YouTube have already done their review videos, and I was really excited to see what everyone else was saying, but I even held off until I was able to see it, and I knew I was going to go see it. I want to do better this year of going to see new releases, so I knew I was going to go see it either the day it released or the day after, and I saw it today. Today is Friday, so yes, it was, I think it came out today or yesterday. I don't remember. I think it came out yesterday, but anyways, I went into theaters with very high anticipation and very high expectations, and I went to see it with my older sisters and younger sisters. We usually go to the movies together, especially to see horror movies. That's our jam. So we walked into this movie and I was quite excited for this, and I definitely was anticipating some certain things to happen and having some expectations, and I have to say I think overall all of my expectations were definitely met. So before we go into my overall thoughts and ratings for this, I'm going to go into some basic information in case you haven't seen it or you're looking for that. Let's talk about some of the first off, we're talking about obviously Scream 2022. This movie has an R rating and was quite bloody, actually. I think bloodier than any other installment. It ran for almost 2 hours, 1 hour 54 minutes, what it says on IMDb, which is where I got most of this information. The ratings are pretty high, actually. There's a 76% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, which is actually fairly good for Rotten Tomatoes. And for IMDb, there's a 7.5 out of 10, which again, a very solid rating, especially for a 5th installment in a franchise where you usually see the quality dropping for most franchises, let's just be honest. But this one is staying pretty consistent, at least in my opinion. The writer for this ones are James Vanderbilt, Guy Busick, Hope I'm saying that right. And of course, the characters are based on Kevin Williamson's original screenplay, and of course, also Wes Craven, who unfortunately passed away before this one was made. Our actors in this one, we have returning Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, and David Arquette, but we also have some new faces in this one as well, with Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega. And we also have Jack Quaid, Marley Shelton, who's a returning character, Dylan Minette, and Mickey Madison. Just some of the characters, not all of the actors. And our main characters in the story are Sydney, Dewey, and Gail, who are obviously returning characters if you've seen the franchise. And then we also have Sam and Tara, who are new faces, at least, yes, they're new. Judy, who's a returning character from the 4th film. Wes, her son, Richie, Amber, Mindy, Chad, characters and cast, and it's a pretty large cast, but we do have like a new teen group that we're kind of following here, as well as our returning characters as well. So I think we had a nice mixture here. Let's go into a quick plot synopsis. So we're coming 25 years after the original murders that happened in Woodsboro. Of course, in this universe, we've had the Stab franchise that has been a movie series, fictional movie series within the movie that has followed the killings of Woodsboro, and all of these things that are happening are kind of coinciding with the movies as well as real life within the movies. Again, Extreme is very much meta because we are not only in a horror movie, but we also know the rules of horror movie, and we know the popular horror movies in our world as well, like Halloween. They talked about a lot of also new age, not like new age, I guess we would say newer horror movies like The Babadook, The Witch, It Follows, etc., etc. And so basically 25 years after the original murders, a new Ghostface appears, who begins, of course, slashing and dashing these teens, and we soon find that there is a connection, but we don't quite know what. And Sydney Prescott also returns, played by Neve Campbell, to figure out what this is, how this is all connected and why these killings have started again, with the help, of course, of some others in returning and new characters. So that's the basic plot synopsis. Kind of keep it as vague as possible to not include any spoilers. Hopefully I'm doing a good job with that because I tend to overshare. But anyways, we do see the return of several characters from the original movies, including the Sydney Prescott character, Gail Weathers, and Dewey Riley. That is, they're returning because there's new killings of the Ghostface character. And so we have our opening scene where we have this young teen who receives, of course, a phone call talking about scary movies and quizzing her not on any scary movies that we might be too familiar with, but on the Stab movies, which are big in this universe, which I really enjoyed because we're getting the super meta here. And of course we have, Scream is very known for its opening scenes, opening sequences, which I think was very well done here. But there is a bit of a twist in this one with the character that is in the first sequence. And I won't say much more to that, but I did enjoy how they kind of subverted our expectation with that. We move on to that, and we're following a young woman named Sam who has, it was her sister that was the one attacked in the beginning of the movie, and she has to come back to the town of Woodsboro, which holds some very bad memories for her and not great times at all. But she's coming back to kind of figure out why was her sister attacked. And so we get into this movie very fast paced, very much it throws you right in because it's quite fast, it's quite kind of almost non-stop, but in a good way. And we get some really engaging but also very graphic scenes in this. So let me hop into my thoughts for it. I have quite a few thoughts written down here, so first off, let's go into the things that I really enjoyed with this movie and really liked. First of all, I pretty much overall enjoyed the characters and cast. There were no characters that were overly annoying or just really badly acted or anything like that. I pretty much enjoyed the cast and the dynamic they had. Of course, not every character is going to appeal to everyone, and I definitely did see that with some of the characters. But overall, I really was thinking that this cast of characters was pretty likable. I think that all the actors did a really good job. Some of the acting here and there was like a little like, but overall it was quite believable that this was a new group of young teens that were being terrorized, and as well as our remaining characters or returning characters. It was quite a believable cast and script, and writing I think was done fairly well. Something else I enjoyed with this is that there was just the right amount of humor with it. Like I said, the cast of characters I enjoyed, and so I think they, you know, sometimes horror movies, especially recent horror movies, have overdone the humor in some areas, but this one I think had the right amount. I wasn't like cringing from the jokes and things. There was just the right amount, in my opinion, that was mingled in with the horror and the slashing and the killing. So I don't think that it was overdone. So that's something I enjoyed. I thought, you know, there was a couple times I was like kind of chuckled, and that's a win for me. I also think that the kills were really well done here. They were very like surprising, kind of graphic. I turned my head a couple times. Not kind of, I definitely turned my head a couple times. And I watch a lot of horror movies, but some of them were a bit much even for me, a little excessive. But I think that definitely when you see this with later installments, you see a little bit more gore, and I don't mind the gore. I don't mind the gore. I like a good kill, and I think they got a tiny bit more creative with this one. So I'm gonna take that as a win here, even though I did, you know, turn my head a couple times. Is that a positive? Maybe. And Ghostface was a little kind of intimidating in this one. He kind of had a swagger about him that was a little scary. You know, sometimes he's a little goofy, falling all over the place. It is played by different killers every time, but it was a little scary here. He had a different kind of vibe to him, so I think that's a positive for sure. He was a little scary in this one. He doesn't really, you know, scare me that much. There's something about it that it's being a real person type of thing that scared me when I was younger, but as I got older, I was like, eh. But this one was a little bit more unhinged in a way, so I enjoyed that. Some of the plot points that I wasn't sold on in the beginning of the movie, which I won't go into too much detail, but there were some things about like family and, you know, some characters that came into play. I wasn't sold on it at the beginning of the movie. I was like, I don't know if I like that. I don't know, it's kind of almost retconny. But as the movie continued on, I think they incorporated those plot points really well in the movie, and also there was some character growth with our characters that we were introduced to in the movie. So overall, I actually ended up liking the plot points that I didn't enjoy at the beginning. They ended up working out well, and it also surprised me with some of the new characters that they killed, because in a sense you almost expect certain characters to survive, and they don't, and they really don't hold back with who they're going after in this movie, and I enjoyed that. I think that it really had you very tense throughout the movie because you didn't know who was going to get it next. It was very much like Ghostface was not playing in this one. He was definitely, if he was going after you, it was almost a done deal for you. So I enjoyed that they definitely went forward in this one. They did not hold back on it. And I think that's something that a lot of the Scream movies do anyways. So they continued on with it. There's a good balance of new characters and old characters in this one as well. We don't get all just Sydney and Gil and Dewey, but we don't get just all the new characters either. There's a nice balance of the older returning characters and the new characters as well, with just that hint of maybe this might continue on past this one. I definitely think they handled it very, very well to where this could be just the 5th movie and we're done with it here, or we can continue on. I think they just left just enough, but it wasn't like one of those movies where it's just like, this is just a movie to get to the next movie. Like, this is just like a placeholder so we can get to number 6. There definitely was enough story here on its own to where this could be just number 5 in the Scream franchise, and we can end it here. It was a good story, a good ending, but there's enough there that we can continue on with the franchise, and I like that. I enjoyed it. I did enjoy the killer reveal at the end. I kind of was guessing through. This whodunit, I was definitely guessing several characters, which I think is always a good thing because you don't want to immediately guess who it is. But I did have stakes on one of the people in this, and I was like, this character is kind of suspicious, and I kind of guessed it. So I want, of course, obviously, I will definitely not reveal the killer because it's definitely a huge part of the series is a whodunit type of thing. But definitely pay attention to the characters, and I did really like the reveal of who the killer was at the end, or killers. You never know. You know, Scream has a thing of doing one or two, but you guys can figure that out when you go see it. And here's my last good thing point here. I think that the commentary that they did in this one, which Scream always usually being sort of a meta horror movie, they do a lot of commentary on horror as a genre and also horror movies in the current times that they're making it. And I think the commentary within this one was actually really cool and really good. Very good commentary on horror movies and current movies and sequels and prequels. It was a good job. They used a term in the movie that I don't remember, but it was something like it wasn't a sequel or a prequel, but basically how we've been seeing a lot of franchises basically taking points from the original movie and kind of going off of that, ignoring some of the movies in the middle and just following from the original story or from the second movie, or, you know, this kind of thing. Halloween 2018 has done it. Several other movies have done it as well. And they were making sort of some commentary on that, which I really enjoyed, how movies are kind of retconning or ignoring other entries into the franchise to continue the story. Like I said, Halloween 2018 is a really big example of that. They also were making commentary on the newer movies that are very much like commentary movies or woke movies, or these movies that are kind of like smart horror, if you get what I'm, throwing out at you. For example, Jordan Peele movies, or The Babadook, which is a huge, could be a huge metaphor for grief. So these movies that are kind of, or Hereditary, these kind of more new age movies that are very much kind of artsy in a way, and also like some people would say woke, which I don't like that term necessarily because people just use it for everything. But also they were making some commentary on that, on how a lot of people are enjoying those movies as well nowadays, and some people are just like, no, let's keep it to the basics, just slash and dash slashers, or just keep it simple. And I think there was some really good commentary there, because there's room for both types of movies, obviously, and there's fans for both types of movies. They had some commentary on fandoms and fan bases in general, how they can get a little frantic with their love of movies. I thought that was really interesting for them to put into the movie as well. And lastly, they also made some commentary on not messing with the originals, which I thought was really good as well. So I really enjoyed the commentary. They said this wasn't going to be very meta, but I think there were definitely a lot of meta elements into this, and then maybe they said that to throw us off, because yeah, it was definitely some meta elements in here. The movie was definitely poking fun at the genre, but also incorporating some of the things into the movie, and I thought it was very well done. There you go. So, did I have any negatives for this? I do. I think that not very many, though. I think that, like I said, some of the acting was sometimes hit or miss. There was no bad acting in this, but sometimes it was like a little side-eyeing it. But no, the acting was pretty solid though overall. I did, like I said, I kind of guessed who what the killer was, but not completely, so I don't think that that's necessarily a negative. These are maybe like mixed points, not negative necessarily, because I really don't think I have too many negatives for this movie, actually. I will say, like I said, some of the plot points I was kind of like a little bit iffy on. At the moment, I can't think of any negatives. I'll definitely, if I, think of any, if I want to do another review or spoiler review, I'll add those in there. But overall, I actually, hey you guys, editing me here. Okay, so I was able to collect my thoughts a little bit more, and okay, so here's the thing. I figured out some things that I was thinking in the movie that I didn't say in my review, that could possibly be for like mixed or negative. So definitely there's a scene where I just was like, this is just not believable, and it has to do with a hospital scene, and there's like, it's definitely Halloween 2 all over again. No staff in the hospital. That was one thing. Another thing was broad daylight. Well, is not too unbelievable, but like in the broad daylight, some things happen that I'm like, there's no witnesses. It's just some moments where it's just like, I just can't believe this is happening. And of course, it is a movie, but again, especially the hospital scene, I'm just like, not possible. But yeah, those are some things that could be kind of mixed. But overall, I'm not taking back any of like my thoughts on this. I really still think this is a really definitely there are some things that I have some issues with that are not huge issues. I don't think I definitely overall enjoyed it, but I can see how it might be like problems for others. But for sure, there were some moments where I was just like, that's just not, this is unbelievable. But yeah, like I said, I enjoyed most of the characters. I enjoyed the plot. I enjoyed the reveal at the end. I did guess who the killer was. Yeah, I guess who the killer was. So that could be a negative or a positive. I guess that would be more of a mixed thing. It depends on how you view it. But I did like kind of figure it out. But I still was like guessing throughout the movie. But I did say, okay, yeah, I think this person is it, and it ended up being it. But I still was guessing throughout the movie. I still think they did a pretty good job of kind of like not making you doubt if you really think that this is the person that's the killer. And like I said, there were some plot points with connecting to the original that I did not get on with at first, but I warmed up to a lot more at the end. And so that I think I really did. I'm going to give this a 4.5, even 5 stars. I think 5 stars, yeah. 4.5 or 4.75. Like I said, it's not completely perfect, but yeah, so like an A-, A+ rating for me, because I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was just really pretty much well done. And I'm glad that the movie definitely went to some places that we maybe weren't expecting. So I enjoyed that a lot. Yeah, that's it pretty much, guys. That's all of my thoughts on this movie. I hope that this review was helpful in some way and made you want to go see the movie as well. I definitely would recommend you go and check it out in theaters if you're not already thinking about it. Obviously, be safe with, the amount of sickness going around. It's definitely a chance going to the theaters. I don't even know if it's anywhere streaming, but if you have a safe way to go to the theaters, definitely go see it, because it was definitely a nice movie experience. I actually went to a place where you can sit down and eat as well, which the food wasn't that great, but the movie was enjoyable. And so yes, if you guys like this review, give it a thumbs up down below. Subscribe to the channel as well. Of course, I would love to have you join the community, and leave me your thoughts on this movie if you've seen it or if you want to see it. Definitely let me know your thoughts. What do you think? If you have any expectations, let me know in the comment section down below, and I will check you guys out in the next video very soon. Stay safe. Adios.